Hello everyone and welcome to AmmoMart.com, where you can find real firepower online. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have you. This is our very first video we've ever posted on our website. My name is Rodney Phillips. I've been in guns for about 40 years and I'll sort of be your host as the series goes on. AmmoMart is stationed in Findlay, Ohio, and as we shoot our videos, we're going to do about one a week, we hope, covering all kinds of topics in the gun world, from your rights and ways to preserve them, ammunition types, quality, guns, and all things cool in the gun world. One of our goals in the whole series is to honestly evaluate products that come out related to the gun world. To do that honestly, we have to have some standardized testing. And even though we're not scientists, our hope is to recreate as best we can a scientific sort of data that real practical shooters can use. To begin with, we need to select what sort of media we're going to use to test ammunition with. You basically have three choices. The first choice is 10% organic gelatin. You've heard a lot about it in the past, I'm sure. It is exactly what it says. It's 10% organic jello molded into a block. That is important because it's what the gun world calls the FBI standard. And it is exactly what it says, 10%, and they even calibrate it. Believe it or not, you can calibrate jello. The way the FBI does that work is they fire a 177 caliber BB at 590 feet per second, plus or minus 15 feet per second, into the gelatin block. If the BB penetrates between 2.95 and 3.74 inches, they certify the block for testing and they continue. The real question is, where in the world did the FBI come up with that information? Well, it's kind of interesting. Being a history geek, we'll go back in time a little bit to the mid-'80s. The Army and the Presidio out in California were studying what they call missile wounds, which were in effect bullet wounds. And the designer of that project was a guy named Dr. Martin Fackler. And Fackler was the one that actually came up with the idea through testing that 10% organic gelatin more closely mimicked human organs and tissue, not skin and bones, which we'll get to in a minute. Sometimes when I see things online or talk to people about this sort of thing, they're a little confused, and there's a big difference. And it's a small distinction with a big difference. So anyway, back to Dr. Fackler. When you hear things related to terminal ballistic, terms like permanent crush, temporary cavity, permanent cavity, that was all derived from his work. And during that same period of time, there was no standard data or testing criteria for terminal handgun ballistics. Agencies simply made up their own. And the problem with that is the agencies were kind of directly contradicting one another. Example, the US Navy preferred ammunition that penetrated from 8 to 12 inches. The Secret Service, on the other hand, preferred 4 to 6, fearing that deep penetration into the block would over-penetrate any human target and that energy would be lost. So you could have, in theory, the same bullet fired from the same gun, passing or failing the test depending on the tester's idea of what was important. The FBI, for better or for worse, has standardized the entire thing using Dr. Fackler's work. Now, for better or for worse, the FBI standard is the industry standard by which the efficiency and the effectiveness of ammunition is measured. There's good things about the FBI standard and there's some bad, but at the end of the day, that's the boat we're in. Organic gelatin's main competition is a product called clear synthetic gelatin. It's available online, ships right to your house. It's a very consistent product, and it's clear. Organic gelatin is not. And the cool part about that, for video's sake, is it's really handy to see the shock wave of your bullet, the whole deal. You can actually see, oh wow, look at that damage it's done. It's hard to do in organic. The problem, if there is one with clear synthetic, is pretty simple. A lot of people claim it's not like organic gelatin, even though it comes with a warranty stating it is. You can get clear synthetic gelatin in 10%, mimicking the FBI standard, or 20%, a little stiffer, if you're interested in testing against the NATO standard. Yes, NATO uses 20%. We're going to use the 10% organic that we made here in the kitchen, as well as the 10 and the 20% clear synthetic, and see how they stack up against one another. Your other options for testing media are stuff you find at home. People have used wet phone books. You've all seen videos of people shooting 2-liter bottles of water with food coloring in them, and it's a dramatic effect. Problem is, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot about how effective the bullet is. I'm a real big fan of a guy named Paul Harrell, and if you guys haven't seen his video, we'll put a link to it at the bottom of our page. He is amazing at the way he can dress up meat, does actually real-world testing on, say, slabs of ribs wrapped in heavy coats, and then he'll put some softer meats in the middle. It's really well done videos. If you haven't seen them, check them out. We're going to try a little of that at our outdoor range with some chickens. We like chickens because we don't know how well they're going to test out, and it may be not fruitful related to how efficient the bullet is, but they're easy to find. They do have, if you buy the whole chicken, they do have innards, which we're hoping to push outwards with some of our ammunition. They come in a bag. They're easy to use. You just have a little bit of stuff to clean up at the end, but we're going to give that a shot and see how that works. Thanks for your time. I'm really glad you joined us today at AmmoMart.com, real firepower online, and we'll see you at the range.
Hello everybody, thanks for following me to Ghost Town, our outdoor shooting facility and awesome venue, also located in Findlay, Ohio. As we talked earlier on the video, first step we need to do is make sure that our organic gel meets FBI specs. Let's see what happens. Aiming for 590 or so. 594. I like it. Try it again. .621, and the final. 618. The FBI stat is looking for approximately 3 3/4 inches to 2.5, and I don't know if you'll be able to make this out on the camera, but we're actually about 3 inches, which is a good result. Next thing we're going to do is move on to testing of the 9mm 115 grain in the gel. We're going to try first the normal full metal jacket round, followed by a Spear Gold Dot, also 115 grain bullet. We'll try to keep this, for continuity of testing, pretty even, in that the full metal jacket rounds will be on the left side of the ballistic gel and the hollow points will be on the right. After we fire it into the naked gel, we're going to dress it up for the prom and see how the bullets perform when they're dressed. Here we are back with the proper hearing. Full metal jacket round on the left side of the gelatin, up high. Cool. Now we're going to switch to Spirit Gold Dot, a very well-touted self-defense round on the market. Up high on the right. Let's go see. So we have blown out the side here, an exit of the full metal jacket round, and as you can tell, that gold dot penetrated to 12 inches and mushroomed up exactly like they would tell you you won't. And it is one sinister looking guy right there. The FBI claims 8 to 12 inches is preferable of overall penetration. As you can tell from the cavities, that's a bad day. So what we'll do next is put some clothes on our gel and see how much that changes the formula. We will, of course, start with the full metal jacket round on the bottom left side of the target. Then we'll switch to the spear gold dot. Ball low. The spear gold dot, low right. Whoa, that one tried to escape. Let's go see what we have. Ball round went in right there. It was a little occluded by the target or the clothing, so it was a little difficult to tell. Exited right here, however. And it would also appear that the spear gold dot also exited the ballistic gel, which is an interesting point. Bear in mind, we're not testing the efficacy of any bullet today. Our plan or our goal was to decide what testing medium we should use. But it is worth noting, one of the theories about bullet design is, as long as liquid, blood, tissue can fill the cavity in the hollow point, it'll expand. The problem is, this is just a theory, that clothing blocks the hole and it doesn't allow it to expand. You'll notice the bullets behaved entirely differently through that little bit of clothing material. Kind of an interesting finding, sort of anecdotal right now. It's not scientific, but it is worth noting. Now, what we're going to do is switch mediums and bring out our clear ballistic gel. So I'm going to move this out of the way for now and be right back with the clear gel. So, radically looking different ballistic gel. This is clear ballistic gel, calibrated with a guarantee to 10%. That means supposed to mimic the FBI standard. The company we purchased this from also offers this at 20%, which is kind of the NATO standard, which we'll be doing some testing with later on in the video. But right now what we're going to do is the very same thing. We're going to shoot it a total of 4 times and see what happens when we all get done. Maybe it'll look like the FBI, our own homemade FBI version, perhaps not. Try to take him right down the middle. All right, here we go. We were right around 3 inches with the FBI. And you'll notice these probably average somewhere more around 1.5 inches, perhaps 2. So this would appear to be a little stiffer than the organic gel we made. Entirely possible, and it definitely has a different feel to it. Way, way, way more solid than ours. So one of the other things to keep in mind with clear gel, according to the testing done by our folks at Police One, clear gel, when compared to the FBI standard, has a tendency to under-expand and over-penetrate. They don't really give us a lot of data about that, but I will put a link on their website for you to do some more reading. It was an excellent article. This, they claim, not so much like FBI gel. So we'll see. So far, I would agree with them, but that might be just the inconsistency in our batch, so to speak. Well, it's about time to shoot some more 9mm. We will go undressed clear synthetic gel first. Same sequencing we did with our own FBI mix. First round is a full metal jacket, high left into the clear gel. That penetrated, I could see the dirt splash behind it. Now we're going to go spear gold dot, top right. Notice the clear gel didn't move as much as ours did either. Let's go see what we get. We have a complete exit, of course, of the full metal jacket round. Right through yonder. Then the same bullet penetrated to about 9 inches. And it definitely fragmented, mushroomed, and you can see the permanent and temporary cavities here. Definitely a bad day. But Let's dress him up for the prom. Okay, full metal jacket, lower left, and then spear gold dot, low right. Aha, check this out. This time, you'll notice this was the first one. This time, when you put the clothes on, everything about it is different, right up into and including the spear gold dot did exit the gel. Same way it did in the FBI, or our 10% version of it. And of course, the full metal jacket rounds both exited. So I think one of the problems with making your own FBI organic gel is it's never the same time to time. Would be one of the changes or challenges we have to consider is what then happens batch to batch to batch. And you might be better off purchasing this because it's going to be, in my opinion, way more consistent than your own homemade blend. All right, guys, we're going to resume our testing. This time, 20% more towards the NATO standard. You would expect, in theory, less penetration because it's a ton stiffer and it does weigh slightly more than the 10%. So I have my Daisy Rider all fired up and we'll try to do some .603, that's within the FBI spec. Before, with the 10% gelatin, they measured 1.5 to 2. And these are, interestingly enough, a little bit more at probably averaging around 2.5, which is good because that would qualify as also a good FBI standard test. So now let's go shoot some 9s. The naked gelatin, we will shoot high left and then right. Gold dot on the right. Commonly, we do have an exit of the full metal jacket, and you'll notice this time in the 20%, it did penetrate about 1.5 inches less. Before we were right around a foot at the outer edge of the FBI like standard. This is at 10.5 and definitely fragmented and mushroomed. Gold dot on the top right. And then full metal jacket bottom. We exited with the full metal jacket round as we have so far, but this time, even while dressed in 20% NATO, it penetrated to nearly the exact depth as its partner. So in this case, clothing didn't matter. Same result. That's the first time we've noticed that. Kind of interesting with the 20%. Okay, now let's shoot some chickens. Well, guys, we're back to the long-awaited portion of today's events, at least for me, where we're going to wrap a chicken. You'll notice chicken sitting down there, naked as the day he was born. And we're going to try and run 115 grain full metal jacket round right through mid back or so. Whoa, that's a big hole. Now here comes the spear gold dot self-defense round and a little more of a substantial part of the chicken. And notice it has a slight list to port. So, clean hole through and through, which is what you would expect. Of course, this is perhaps Mother Nature and not us. But you can see this here is woof. Well, let's dress him up and see what happens with a completely new chicken. I'll be right back with you. This is FMJ. Now slightly higher with the hollow point. Whoa. As you can tell, even from point of entry, of course, this is a low shot, which is the full metal jacket. Neat sort of through and through up until you get to the direct impact of the hollow point, which is spear gold dot. Whoa, that's nasty. Okay, guys, the last test we'd like to go through today, as we stated, was the calf femur, around 10% organic gelatin. Hopefully I can put the bullet onto the bone. This will be the highest impact on the femur bone with the full metal jacket. Oh yeah, struck the bone big time. As you can see, multiple fractures and mess here. There goes college soccer. And now a hollow point. And that blew bone marrow right out the top. I realize our testing medium's gotten slightly degraded, but we're going to give it a shot. I'll be blind, but hopefully I can put the shot on the bone. I think we struck something. Oh yeah. That takes your innards and pushes them outwards. Where it be calf femur or something else. Impressive display even with the full metal jacket round. Boy, when that hollow point hits, it's just much more dynamic, much more of an impressive display, and nothing you would want to be on the receiving end of. I'll be right back with you with some final comments, okay?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to AmmoMart.com, where you can find real firepower online. This is a brief recap of some of the data that we collected at the range. It's really an interesting outing out there. Let's start with the organic gelatin. What a pain. We shot it on the film on a warm day. As you can tell, I was doing a fair amount of sweating, and that gelatin is no fun to work with on a warm day. One of the other things about it we noticed too is we took out a couple of different molds, so to speak, so we had some more blocks out there to use. It's very, very difficult to get consistency amongst the gelatin you make yourself. Same guy, same maker, same kitchen, same day, and they were visibly different in how stiff and sort of resistive the material was. One of the other things we didn't like about it related to actually shooting the gelatin, you can't really see what goes on with it without a microscope x-ray or slicing it up. I don't think that most people find that very practical. So at least right now, our feeling is not a great media for us. Clear synthetic was much easier to work with. And what was one of the other interesting points out there, we didn't find the differences we were expecting between clear synthetic and our organic. The bullets pretty much performed the same way. Some mushroomed, some didn't, depending on whether it was dressed in clothes or not. And the penetration, as we demonstrated, was about the same. So with the ease of it, we're really liking clear synthetic at this point. And the chickens, they were pretty much just for fun anyway, but you can kind of tell the differences between wrapping a chicken with a full metal jacket round versus a hollow point, and at the end, certainly with the 10mm Hydra shock, dramatic difference. But it's mostly for fun, just to see what would happen. And one of the other odd things that happened out there was the cow femur in ballistic gelatin. Totally not useful information. As you notice, most of the marrow in the bone came out through the top. Totally not useful data, but it was kind of fun, I'll be honest, to shoot all of that kind of stuff. But for now, we're pretty comfortable sticking with our clear synthetic. And what we'll do is sort of combine the 10 and the 20% to make 2 molds once we remix it, and you can do that up to at least 2 times without affecting your testing data to get to 15%. Because as you noticed, not a lot of difference in a handgun round between the 10% FBI gel and the 20% NATO. They were about the same. Perhaps with a faster rifle bullet, you might get a difference. But for now, clear synthetic's the way to go.
You know what, guys? I just remembered something. I have one more chicken and a Glock Model 20 in 10 millimeter. And now I have chicken guts all over me.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. If you like what we're doing, please feel free to subscribe and tell your friends about us. We hope to see you again in the future with some more videos.